you doing, So Cal? This is Skan from the Kickout podcast, and it is definitely a pleasure to speak to you. An absolute legend in the wrestling game, and I want to start off with just to our audience, give us a bit of an introduction to who So Cal is.
Wow, that's so nice of you. Thank you for that. So I've been doing wrestling shows consistently since, 2002. I spent 9 years with Impact Wrestling. I did WS Wrestling on ITV here in the UK, which I really was surprised by because I thought when I moved to England, okay, maybe I'll do some presenting for other things. And wrestling just keeps calling me back like the mothership, and I keep going. So that's, and now we're here with Progress Wrestling, which is amazing. And the first show that I did with Progress was an all-female show. So me being a feminist and loving, that they're putting the spotlight on women was really exciting. And then from that one show came all of these other shows. So yeah.
Right. So taking us back to the early days of So Cal Val,
Yeah.
what inspired you to get into wrestling? Where did your love affair of wrestling begin?
Ooh, great question. I have a personal Jesus in wrestling. Everyone has their favorites. I still want to be Stephanie McMahon. She, to me, was the be all end all. She wasn't a wrestler. She wrestled once in a while, but she dressed great. She was a boss. She championed women's wrestling and did a lot of talking, and that's who I wanted to be. So Stephanie McMahon was my number one. I also loved Miss Elizabeth, and I got to channel her a little bit in my storyline with Jay Lethal and Impact Wrestling. I loved Missy Hyatt. She was that kind of petulant heel, rich biatch, if I can say that. And so I kind of took all of those three and put it into the So Cal Val character.
Amazing. And where did the name So Cal Val come from?
Well, living in Southern California at the time, they gave me the name Valerie, and they said, okay, well, there's already a Victoria, but they wanted me to have a name with the letter V. I don't know if they just thought it was fancy. And they said, oh, Valerie. And my friend laughed and said, that's funny. You could be So Cal Val. And it stuck for, 23 years and counting, which is lucky because a lot of people change their names. But mine has always been So Cal Val, which is kind of nice, consistent.
Amazing. So you're most notorious for being behind the mic,
Yeah.
right? Did you ever have aspirations of getting in the ring and taking a few bumps?
I mean, initially, yeah. And I kind of said to people, even in Impact Wrestling, like, I don't mind wrestling if it's for a reason. Like if there's a storyline that calls for me to wrestle, or like an intergender tag, something like that. But truthfully, I never wanted to be a wrestler going after a belt at all. I bruise like a peach, number one. Number two, I'm not very athletic. And number three, it hurts really bad. So for those serious reasons, I just thought I'm better suited to talking. And I know that that's sort of my gift of gab is what's helped me in wrestling. So I preferred to be, more like an announcer or a manager. Yeah.
And as you mentioned before, you're a bit of a feminist.
Yeah.
So what is your advice for any young ladies that might be watching this today who have aspirations of getting into the business? Because I know it's quite difficult, quite
Yeah.
challenging to break through. What is your advice that you could give them?
Oh, well, thank you. I think the main thing I would say, and I think sometimes people don't remember this part of the business, is to do your homework. When I was starting out in wrestling, they were very, the promoters and different friends of mine that were influential in helping me get shows. They were like, do your homework. I was buying VHS tapes of Francine and Dawn Marie and all these people that came before me. So I think doing your homework and knowing who's come before you is very, very, very important. Studying tapes is a big one. Because all the aesthetics and things like that, even the athletics of it, you can learn all of that later. But knowing how to have respect for people that have come before you is a very, very big deal.
Amazing.
It'll help you later,
Amazing. And did you ever get a chance to meet any of your heroes or any of the people you looked up to?
All of them. All of them. The only people I have not actually met, and there's only two people in wrestling that The Rock, I've tweeted with him. He was at a party and I didn't really say hello. Stone Cold Steve Austin, never met him. I've only seen him perform live. Everyone else, legit, I've met or worked with, which is really, really cool. Even Stephanie McMahon, I've met a couple of times. She was really lovely. Missy Hyatt, I just saw recently. She was on our show, Gaw TV. If I can promote that quickly, it's called Grown Ass Women TV. You want to talk about feminism? This is a feminist show with a slumber party theme and cocktails. Every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern or 10 p.m. in the UK. Myself, Mickey James, and Lisa Marie Varon, Victoria. So even girls like that I grew up watching, I'm now friends with these people. I was just having a conversation earlier about Trish Stratus and how I, would go to the store and try to buy everything that looked like what she wore. And now I consider her a friend. So it's pretty cool people say don't meet your heroes. These are pretty awesome people. And they're all great. Yeah.
So what do you think about, just to pivot quickly to Trish Stratus?
Yes.
I mean, obviously she's still active in the wrestling business after all these years. I mean, what does that say to, who she is as an individual?
It says, first of all, make sure you're moisturized, because I don't know how this woman is looking as good as she is looking. What fountain of youth? Where is it, by the way? I'd like to visit. She looks better than ever. Mickey James, Lisa, all of these women are at the top of their game. And I feel like it's just so great that she's having a renaissance. You know, it's a stratifying renaissance that she's having. And me as a fan, super fan of hers, it's just so cool to like be at WrestleMania and Lita and Trish Stratus are coming out. Like that's my generation and those are my heroes. So that's just incredible. And it just shows you also the age is just a number and you can always, if you keep, you know, your head held high, you're nice to people, you have a great reputation, there's always room for you to come back. And she's a great testament to that.
That's fantastic, man. And speaking of Progress Wrestling and this event tonight, what is it about Progress that you're such a fan of and makes you want to be a part of this event tonight?
It's very unique. And this is actually, my husband's here with a friend of ours, Jimbo, that's his first Progress Wrestling show. And I'm like, if you were to come to any show, this is the one to come to. This is heavy metal, woo! And it's sold out. There's a cage match. I think just the roster, it's a testament to the entire roster, how we've sold this show out tonight, because the storyline between Spike Trivet and Cara Noir is so layered and so emotional and so riveting and captivating that's why this show is important. So that particular main event is something to look forward to. But I mean, everyone on the roster today is just, they've proven themselves over and over again. And tonight they're going to do it right here in Camden.
That's fantastic. That's so fantastic. And we're amazingly looking forward to this event tonight. And thank you so much for taking time to speak with us today. And we want to wish you all the best for the future and going forward.
Thank you for being here. It's guys like you that are promoting it and being, you know, on the right side of journalism that makes it exciting for us to do what we do. So thank you for being here.
Amazing. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. You're a fabulous host.
That was Skan Deuce with the legendary So Cal Val. This is another episode of The Kickout. Before we actually introduce ourselves, Skan, how did you feel the interview went with So Cal Val? She seemed to really enjoy your vibe.
Yeah, man, that was my official debut the interviewer for the Kickout podcast, man. And yeah, it was great. It was great, man. She was really easy to interview. You know, she obviously had a lot. She's had a long, illustrious career, man. So she had a lot she wanted to get off her chest, and obviously introducing herself to our audience as well. You know, it's good when you can interview somebody and they've just got like a nice, bubbly, friendly, warming energy. Man, you know, and it was a joy to interview her. And
absolutely, and you could tell she had that vibe where she enjoyed your company. She wanted to be there. There's nothing, especially when Mex, we've all been thrown in the spot. We actually don't really know who we're actually going to interview before we get there. So it's just the fact of they open the door and hey, here's So Cal Val, and it's like Skan had to just like think on top of their head to ask some questions. But it's just helpful when they actually enjoy the process and want to help you out with a good conversation. It's nothing worse than trying to interview somebody and they don't want to be there.
They don't give you nothing. Yeah.
Broad breaker. Anyway, but yeah, this is another episode of The Kickout. Yes, we are back again. This is a Backlash 2023 review special episode. I go by the name of Skillet.
My name is Mex.
My name is Skan Deuce.
We shall be having Tay joining us sometime. So when she joins in, we'll do the number 10 countdown like the Royal Rumble and we'll bring her back in. Before we talk about Backlash 2023, actually, I didn't even ask. Mex, how are you? Sorry, brother. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Obviously, we were just discussing. I've got expanding my family very soon. So we're 2 weeks away from due date. So I'm very, very busy at the minute, just prepping for a new baby, making changes in the house, all that kind of thing. But yeah, excited, a bit nervous, but we'll make it work. We always do.
If we were to give Mex a slogan from any wrestler from past to present, I would say Darren Young, Mr. No Days Off. Was that his slogan, Mr. No Days Off? Yeah. That's what I think of you, Mex. But yeah, good luck with everything, man. Baby number 2 on the way. I'm sure you're gonna smash it again and go hard for your kids, as you already have proven. Skan, how are you, my brother? How's things with you, man?
Yeah, man, just dealing with the day job, being working in university, man. Got a whole bag of marking to do. So stressed, bro. Stressed. This is a nice little quick break for me. You know, sit down, talk about wrestling, have a cup of tea, then it's back to marking, man. So
How long have you been working at uni? How long have you been working at university?
I've been at that particular uni since September, man.
Okay.
I'm very lucky to be working on the first ever rap and MC degree in the UK. So it's work, but it's not because I get to, you know, work with teams. I'm in my field, you know, so
it's your passion,
man.
You know what I mean? Yeah, 100%. Oh, that's brilliant.
I'm just literally going from one passion to another passion, but it's just obviously that anybody that works in education will tell you the most stressful part is always marking. So when you're sitting down about 30 or 40 essays, man, it's not fun. But you know, it's part of the job.
How are you, Skillet?
I'm good. Yeah, I just come back from the Rona. The Rona always comes and goes in my life since the pandemic broke. I was actually okay until last week Wednesday. I just came home and I felt a bit weird. And then on Thursday, I had like a mad sore throat, and I just like didn't do any work. I was like, nah, I'm staying in my bed. And then that sore throat developed to something like my body feeling fatigued. I was feeling weak, fever, and like my body was burning up. I just couldn't move. And so this bank holiday weekend, where everybody was out, not everybody celebrating their coronation, but whatever people were doing on the bank weekend, getting to go out, I just stayed my ass in bed and watched Breaking Bad. So
Great series.
Yeah. And did you ever watch A Better Call Saul? Please tell me you
started it. I started it. I haven't finished it.
Next, continue, bro. Bro,
I'm
not gonna gas and say it's better than Breaking Bad, but it's really close, and I find it hard to like decipher between the two which one's better. So I just say that, you know, as a whole of that series and Breaking Bad together,
I will watch Breaking Bad again, and then I'll watch Better Call Saul afterwards.
I think you should do, because I'm showing it to my missus now. How I'm doing it is because she's never watched Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul. So what I've done is I've showed her. I rewatched Better Call Saul with her. Better Call Saul is a prequel. So it's supposed to be what happened before Breaking Bad. Right. So I've watched Better Call Saul, but you have to stop it. This is nerdy of me, but when you get to season 6, the 6 seasons of Better Call Saul, when you get to episode 9 of season 6, stop. Don't continue anymore. Then watch the Breaking Bad series. Then when you finish your Breaking Bad, watch El Camino, which is the film of Jesse's, the film what happened to Jesse, Jesse's ending, and then watch the last 4 episodes of Better Call Saul. And that's the order. I know that's really weird, but that's what I'm doing right now. I have no life, people. But yeah, so that's I was okay, cool, wicked. All right. Well, let's talk about professional wrestling. Before we talk about Backlash 2023, there was some controversial news we didn't really get to pick up on because we wasn't able to do an episode until around this time. Something about a writer or somebody that used to write for WWE was told to write racial stereotypical storylines, which we obviously none of us are shocked about because we've all been lifelong wrestling fans. But there's a lawsuit happening. Is this still happening, Max? I'm coming to you because you're always knowledgeable of all this stuff that's going on in the streets. So
it's something that they've raised. So basically the writer had basically voiced their opinion. The writer was sacked because they had voiced their opinion that these racist storylines, Bianca being overly ghetto, Mansoor saying that he was the cause of 9/11, like all kinds of ridiculous nonsense. Was the writer basically said that this can't run, and lost their job for it. Surprise, surprise, the writer is a black person.
A black woman, right? It was a black woman.
Black woman. So it literally shows the importance of having one of us in these rooms, because God forbid this person wasn't in the room and then someone said, oh yeah, this is a great idea, because someone wrote it, someone said this was a good idea, and if someone wasn't brave enough to stick their neck out on the line and say no, it's not a good idea, then we could have seen this on TV easily. So I think it's more of like an employment law thing that they're being taken, a lawsuits over, unfair dismissal. But it's kind of went quiet after it initially surfaced. But it's one thing after another with WWE and Vince McMahon at the minute.
Right, obviously. And none of us are shocked to hear about these things. I mean, the fact that they even consider having Mansoor be the guy behind 9/11. When the reason why I was laughing is he was probably 3.
They said he was 9. He was 9 years old when it happened.
Oh, was he 9?
Yeah. So how on hell would he have been the guy behind it? And of course, yeah, we're laughing at the stupidity of it, not obviously the seriousness of 9/11, but it's just so dumb. Like you really thought this was a good idea. Like
it kind of reminded me. Do you remember that scandal with ACH with the T-shirt?
Yes, NXT.
Yeah, it's like just stuff like that. They're so inconsiderate, and then for him to be upset and that being a problem that he's upset about things like that, which he has every right to be upset about. Is that that shirt was racist? You know what I mean? Yeah. So it just shows the insensitivity, and I know it's not just black people they target. So I don't want anyone thinking, oh yeah, they're just being racist to black people, because they do it to all kind of racists. But regardless of that. That's still not an excuse. It's still mashup. This is not Street Fighter 3, but you have Street Fighter 2, but you have these racial stereotypical fighters. Like that era is done now.
It's gone, yeah.
Catch up with the times, and Skan, what did you think of all that, man? You're not.
Yeah, sadly, that's part and parcel of entertainment. Really, you've got Sheamus being a stereotypical Irishman. You've got Drew McIntyre being a stereotypical Scottish man. It's just like, I think, if you've got someone, I think they've broken out of it a little bit, because obviously you've got people like Ali now and Mansoor who are not made to be like stereotypical Asian people.
Well, they tried. It's just that I think they've kind of fought back, especially
Ali. You still got Yazidi, and then Indoshare as well. And I get it to a degree, because obviously you've got those people that live in Middle America that have no education of what racial stereotypes are. There's a lot of men who are wrestling fans who the first time they ever heard the word cahoots was from wrestling. Like all of these words and learning about other cultures, they got their education from WWF or WWE back in the day, which at the end of the day, I don't think it's right, but I get it to a degree. The what's it? Almost the Nigerian giant. Why does he have to be a Nigerian giant? Why can't he just be a giant? It's just things like that. And I mean, obviously that ex-employee exposed a lot of the things that go on in the writing room, but if I'm sounding like devil's advocate, I'd imagine that every writing room, EastEnders, whatever, when they're just trying to fish for ideas, they'll throw out the most outlandish madness, and then obviously hone it in closer to the time. But and she's just exposed some of the madness that they tried to come out with, but yeah. I think it's a bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's typical wrestling business. I guess we will have to get. We don't have to all get used to this, but we're all not surprised by all of this. Okay, let's talk about a few things before we talk about Backlash. AEW Wembley. I'm going. Are you going, Max? Please say you're going.
Yes.
And Skan, you're going.
I haven't bought a ticket yet, but I hope to go. Yeah.
My only thing is, I got a ticket, and then I realized afterwards, shit, it's on the same day as Carnival. And if you know me, that's the showcase of the immortals for Ryan Skinner.
It's the on Sunday Carnival, which is what the kids' day.
I know.
So you still got Monday.
Yeah. I know, but it's like, damn. But it doesn't matter. Anyway, this is a first experience, and then I've done Carnival too many times anyway, so I'm not gonna regret going to see AEW in Wembley. You guys have any ideas what's going to main event, or is that too early right now to talk about?
I think there's no indication right now, but ticket sales would say that nobody cares what main events at this point, because they're doing a great job kind of, selling 50, 60,000 tickets we're on now, nearly 70,000.
Yeah, probably hit over the 60 mark. So they're not far away from beating the 82 mark that WWE did. Now, don't get me wrong, that is a great achievement for AEW, especially for a company that's 3-4 years old.
Yeah.
When people try and compare it to, I don't know. I don't want to say this is what people.
No, say it, bro, because this is exactly how I've been feeling. Like people saying, "Oh, like this is brilliant." Like no one could. bruv, WWE have done this. Are we forgetting WWE have done this? Like,
thank you, Max. Like,
maybe not in 30 years, but
not only
they've
just
done
done it, they do it over and over. And plus, that Wembley Stadium show was 30 years ago. Like, that's been done. So it's like, this is you still can't try and go like these man can swing with WWE, because these WWE just done a show in Puerto Rico. That was a sellout, you know. Like, I don't know if AEW could do that. I don't know if AEW can go and you know. I mean, they could probably do stuff in Japan, but I don't know if they will get a sellout in Mexico, or you know what I mean, stadium sellouts and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
AEW's the biggest show has been, before obviously All In, which is yet to happen. Is the Arthur Ashe shows they put on in September. That's obviously the tennis stadium. There's about range between about 20 and 25,000 people, which is great again for a company that's only been in operation for coming up to 4 years now. These are all achievements, but yeah, we're still playing on two different playing fields, like really and truly. But we could of course acknowledge they've done a great job. I was calling for them to do a big show. I would have been furious if they come here and done like a 20K or anything like that, because I know they could do much bigger, and we're seeing, you know, the proof is in the pudding right now. We're seeing it. But yeah, for people to think that, you know, WWE couldn't do this, calm down, like, relax. Okay. And I'm not even being the WWE shill. Like, we all know they could do this easily anywhere around the world. We see it all the time. So
yeah.
But Mex, do you feel like AEW can be like the Man City of the wrestling world? Like, they just come and throw a whole bunch of money at it and just fly up the table.
I mean, money, I don't think will help them close the gap of experience and stuff that WWE has. Like, WWE has got so much experience and good favor and, you know, stuff with so many companies and stuff like that for over the years, that you can't just jump over that with money. Now, the reason they're able to do this, even, you know, All In and sell out as many, is just because the product is good, and that's what they can control. Like, just keep delivering a very good wrestling product, and people will keep buying tickets, and people will want to come and demand more. Like, their networks have already given them more and more hours of wrestling. Like, they've got Rampage, then they've got this Collision show that's yet to come, which is the Saturday show, 2-hour Saturday show. So much so that they've now got rid of Dark and Elevation on YouTube. Like, the network is throwing hours of TV at them that they probably didn't necessarily want, but it's because they're doing well. Like, so that's it. Same way WWE had to build up those relationships, that you can't cheat it, like, with money. I don't feel like in this game. Only when people become available, you can sign the biggest stars like they have been doing. Yeah, that's the only cheat code, so to speak.
I was gonna count her in, but I'm just gonna chuck her in here. Welcome, Tay, to the Kickout Podcast.
Where is she?
Oh, there she is. There she is. Hey.
The production truck. Kevin Dunn is failing you right now.
Hey. Sorry, Tay. I thought I added you, and then it didn't happen. So. Thank you for joining us, Tay. So good to see you as always. How you been?
Good to see you guys. All good. Busy, but yeah.
We were just talking about AEW in Wembley. Are you going?
No, I will not be going.
Is it because it's on the same day as Notting Hill Carnival?
It's definitely
yes, that is exactly. You're right.
Yeah, fair enough. We'll cheer on Orange Juice Cassidy for you.
But tell you what if they book Mercedes Moné? Is that not?
Oh, I'll have to see if that happens. Then, you know, maybe.
Okay, I can see that happening. Okay, well, should we just go straight into Backlash 2023, which was, in my opinion, a really, really good show. We're gonna break down everything. Backlash. It kicked off with hold on, before I even say that, it was in Puerto Rico, in San Juan. Was this the first time they've been in Puerto Rico as in regards of a pay-per-view since Taboo Tuesday in 2005? I think.
Yeah. You're right.
2005.
What I remember about that pay-per-view, and it's not even about any of the main stars, was Maven. I don't know if anyone remember this. Maven caught a heelish promo, which I actually genuinely thought it was good. Look, well, at the time I did. I don't know. I haven't watched it back since. But at the time, I was like, Maven just caught a heel promo, and he had loads of heat, and the Puerto Rican fans were going crazy on Maven. And then I never saw him again after that. He was done. I was like, what happened to Maven? Blood? I don't know if anyone remembers that. If you watch back that Taboo Tuesday 2005 in Puerto Rico, check Maven's promo. I thought it was great heel work, but I don't know. But yes, okay. So this is the first time they've been in Puerto Rico in regards of a pay-per-view. They've done some house shows and stuff like that in Puerto Rico throughout the time. So this is going to be a big one, very exciting pay-per-view, and obviously Bad Bunny is kind of the poster boy of this event. But let's talk about the first match, which I believe was Bianca Belair versus Io Sky for the Raw Women's Championship. And I'm going to go to Mex about this match because I personally think, even though the Bad Bunny match was very entertaining, I personally think this was the best match of the card. What do you think?
Yeah, this might have been the best wrestling match,
Yeah,
like on the card. Obviously, the Bad Bunny match just pure sports entertainment, nonsense, overbooked, but brilliant in its same way. But yeah, this was the best wrestling match, and this is probably one of the best defenses in Bianca's 400-day reign. Obviously, she had a great competitor with Io Sky, which the crowd were very hot, very much behind her. Which I couldn't tell if that was. They're booing Bianca because it's getting John Cena territory now, like she just keeps winning, or if Io Sky was on Lucha Underground, and it might be a bit of a stereotypical thing to say that the Latino fans in Puerto Rico are watching a lot of Lucha Underground, but they might have been supporting her because of that reason. Because their chants and everything support for her just came from absolutely nowhere. But yeah, I felt like I was watching like a old school 2019 NXT takeover. Like the crowd were hot, the wrestling was like different level, and it just made me think like Triple H with these women, Raw or be it SmackDown, you have to do better because there's too much talent here. Like for us to just be kind of waiting for pay-per-views before we get a decent match, like, and week to week we're just not really getting much of anything. That's the only thing I thought, because I feel like Bianca's run as champion hasn't been the most interesting, although she's had very pivotal matches and good stuff in between. Again, it's just waiting for pay-per-views for something to bang. But yeah, this match was awesome.
Skan, did you see these this reaction towards Bianca Belair coming, and what did you think of it?
Yeah, I guess us as a fan base were kind of itching to see her, drop the belt to Asuka Mania, and the fact that she really, it's getting to that Cena level now, isn't it? Where we feel like she's had that belt for too long, and we just want a bit more. We want more in it, storyline wise, more for her character development. Just she kind of does the same thing more or less from for the last 3 years, more or less. So I think maybe she's getting a bit stale. Maybe we need a bit more, maybe a heel turn. We need something.
Tay, do you agree with this?
Yeah, definitely. I was going to say that I think her character is getting a bit stale. It's nothing to do with her, but they just need to give her a bit more rather than we're just going to feed her women wrestlers so that she can beat and then move on. Like, give her a proper storyline. Not with like another tag team, just her and someone else just going back and forth and do something that way. It's just, it's been the same since she came up, and it's just a bit like, time to drop the belt, do something else, revamp your character a little bit, and let's see where it goes.
I definitely see points in what you guys are saying about the character for sure. I feel like some of the character definitely needs a little bit of work, and some of her promos definitely a little bit of work. But me personally, I actually really enjoy Bianca Belair's matches. I don't get bored of her. Like, I get the comparison a bit to John Cena. I think I even made that comparison while she was getting booed. But I was saying it in a fact of, I think the fact that she can draw emotion from like being cheered and being booed at the same time, kind of like Cena. I think Cena was the first one to ever do that in wrestling history in regards of having crowd be split in the middle of, you know, week in, week out, being cheered and booed at the same time. So I think Bianca Belair having that at the moment, they can probably reactivate that whole Cena feel and having to have these big boy main event matches where she has that feel every weekend. So I personally think they shouldn't take the belt off her anytime soon. I think they should keep this going because I feel that this is going to be more. This will develop her as a star as time goes on. I feel like, and when it comes to WrestleManias, you know, having those main event matches will mean much more because people can't wait to see her lose or people can't wait to see her win. And so I think they've got something really promising with Bianca. I think she's a diamond. So I don't know. I'm not bored of Bianca at the moment. But big up Io Sky. She was brilliant in that match as well. And I'm glad that she's getting her love because she's an outstanding talent. And I hope the writers are looking at her. I'm like, damn, we need to do more with Io Sky.
They definitely need to do more with Io. Just on Bianca, I think they've been tentative to do anything with her character, but just because she's so beloved and probably making a lot of money, you know, merch wise, and they can send her out as an ambassador for the company, and she's been doing a great job with that. Obviously, Triple H is in charge. We don't really know, but yeah, he's there. Triple H was booking her in NXT. Triple H never gave her the title in NXT. And she obviously had a very different kind of attitude, persona when she was in NXT. So
yeah, she was a good heel.
You know, yeah, I've been literally begging for her to return to that character on the main roster. Yeah. But I literally think maybe just too much money she's earning for them right now. They don't want to do that. But yeah, I think with Triple H at the helm, you know, we could see these tweaks in her character, maybe more adversity, maybe her losing the title and have to do something different, change her personality. I think there's potential there.
All right, let's talk about Seth Rollins versus the Nigerian giant Omos. Skan, what do you think of this?
Listen, I think this is hands down Omos's best match. I think they're starting to understand the formula of how to book him. You know, he's a spectacle, like on the big, obviously on the weeklies, he can squash people, but on the big pay-per-views, man, someone needs to overcome him, you know? So I think in terms of Omos, you know, it was definitely his best performance. And yeah, I thought it was a pretty good match. It was entertaining for a solid 10 minutes, man.
Tay, do you think well, they haven't rebranded Omos, so to speak, but pushing him back into the picture program of a weekly show and having angles again, but still not pushing the trigger of him winning matches. Do you think that's affecting Omos?
I'm not really sure with Omos. I think this match was like the first time I was like, I'm seeing something decent from him. I think you need to give him them kind of matches first to see how it works out long term. Because before this match, I was just like, it's time to go. Like, I was not really feeling it. But this kind of turned it around for me. And I was like, right, I do want to see more from him. I'm quite happy that he's with MVP. I think that MVP should do a bit more as his manager, like throwing people at him, something on that ilk. Just develop his character now. Like, we can see that he can have a decent match with the right person. So I think on a weekly basis, yeah, like kind of like you were saying, he can like run through these small guys, anyone they bring like just around the arena. But on the big pay-per-views, yeah, make the matches mean something.
Max, how do you feel about Omos at the moment, man?
I'm not an Homo sapien, as he calls his fans. But you know what? I felt like after this match, I'm beginning to understand like where he fits. Skan said something. Skan said, "Oh, that WWE beginning to understand what to do with him," sort of thing. I think more Omos is understanding what he needs to do within his role, because let's be honest, he's basic big man or main event heel, whatever you want to call it, the role he plays in it. Like, it's been done before. His moveset is limited. It's for him to just really sell, what he is. And I felt in this performance with Seth Rollins, he really did that. And obviously, Seth is one of the best in the world, and I don't want to hear anyone argue that. Like, Seth is him when it comes to wrestling, innit?
Yeah.
So having this kind of match with Seth, you know, we're not surprised he's had his best match to date against Seth Rollins, but he really done his bit in my opinion. And yeah, I think more so now he needs to get a relatively big win for us to continue believing him. I'm tired of the jobbers, the squashing the jobbers and stuff like that. Like someone like Sheamus, he could beat, and it doesn't take anything away from Sheamus. They can have a, you know, full-on scrap, and he beat Sheamus, and that's at least one scalp to his name. Because right now, who has almost beaten? He gets thrusted into these positions and then never wins.
He's
So
only,
he has to
he's
beat
only beating
someone.
Lashley, innit? He's only beating Lashley, innit?
Did he beat Lashley at WrestleMania, that one?
I think he did, you know.
He beat Strowman at Saudi Arabia last year. I can't remember if he beat Lashley or not.
Yeah, I don't think he beat Lashley.
Oh, maybe he didn't. All right, maybe it was Strowman then. You're
Yeah,
right.
I think Lashley won the match, but he beat Strowman in Saudi Arabia last year. But yeah, he needs at least, you know, if he's gonna lose these high profile matches against high profile guys, let him beat, you know, somebodies every now and again, like Sheamus and maybe just some other guys, Damian Priest, that can take a loss and bounce back without too much damage. But yeah, he's all right. He's cooking.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like this is. I agree. I definitely feel that this is almost his best match. Obviously, and I think a lot of that's because of Seth. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm very much like, yeah, with almost. I don't really give two shits. But at the same time, you know, he's a brother. You know what I'm saying? So I want to see him win. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, invested somewhat.
You know what I'm saying? So I hope that this do a bit more careful booking, and I think it's time he starts winning now. Like, I get it. Seth is arguably the best wrestler right now, but if you want to book almost strong, he shouldn't be beating. Seth shouldn't be beating him. You know what I mean? So it's just like I just don't know what they want to do with him. But yeah,
I kind of feel like they were waiting for this match from him because he couldn't have been winning with the matches that he was doing before.
No.
So maybe this might be the turning point to be like, right, okay, you've sorted your shit out. You now feel it. Now you can start winning. Because before, if he beat like Seth Rollins, everyone would be like, what?
Yeah.
It just wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Rhea Ripley versus Zelina Vega for the SmackDown Women's Championship. So Zelina Vega was the first member of the new LWO to have her spot in the Puerto Rican home. Actually, I guess she was the only member of the LWO faction.
Well, Damian Priest.
He's Judgment Day, isn't he?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the LWO. So it's like there was no. You know what? The reason why I said the first member because I was defaulting Bad Bunny as a member of the LWO. That's just racist. So Zelina Vega gets her spot in Puerto Rico, her home country, where she gets her first ever. Is it the first time she's ever had a title shot?
I don't think so.
She might have had one against Carmella before, innit? I think she might have had a match with Carmella. Or maybe Charlotte. I think she might have had a match with Charlotte Flair before. But in a big pay-per-view like this, she gets her first ever kind of like, you know, and she comes out with the Puerto Rican colors, the Puerto Rican flag. She gets really emotional, hugs her parents at ringside, her stepfather, obviously because her father sadly passed away at 9/11. Hugs her mum. Tell you, hilariously pointed out that the mum bought the slipper, which is, you know, a Latino, Afro-Latino heritage kind of.
What do they call it? The chacho.
Chancla or something like that. Chancla or something like that, yeah.
Okay, so I just want to ask Tay first, from the start, did you think this was a bit of a mismatch? Do you think they should have given this storyline a bit more time for people to care? I can understand the people in Puerto Rico caring because that's one of their own, but for people like myself, you, Mex, Skan, to be invested, do you think they should have given this a bit more time to breathe for us to be really cheering on Zelina Vega in her hometown in Puerto Rico, home country?
No, we all knew what this match was. We knew what the type of match it was going to be. It wasn't going to be anything more than that. I think Zelina Vega, she's a good wrestler for her stature. And we all knew it was going to be David versus Goliath. And she put on a good match, so did Rhea. And it was a great match for what it was. It was never going to be, we didn't need to be invested. We knew what it was. And it worked well for what it was.
Skan, do you think they've booked Zelina good in this? Did you think they made it look good? They booked a bit. No, I wouldn't say strong because Rhea Ripley's supposed to be the stronger one. But do you think they did a good job of how they booked it in terms of her offense and whatnot?
Yeah, I think they kept it realistic. Like she was never gonna out wrestle Rhea Ripley. She was never gonna out anything Rhea Ripley. Like on a personal level, I'm happy for Zelina because I remember when they did the 10th anniversary for 9/11. She had like some special gear made for her dad, and she didn't make it on the show, and she was really distraught about that. So they finally gave her moment, and you could see like how emotional she was about that, and I think it was booked how it was supposed to. We all knew that obviously there was going to be a big high moment later on in the show. So for her to take her L, and she still got her standing ovation after the match. Yeah, man, I think she did well.
Max, I mean, not to promote other wrestling podcasts on the Kickout because we're the only one. I'm joking. But Bully Ray on Busted Open Radio has said that he had Mark Henry as a guest, and Mark Henry and the co-host from Busted Radio, I can't remember his name now, all got emotional, and Bully Ray. So I
don't say what I think you're about to say.
Bully Ray was saying how WWE missed the trick here. They missed the trick, and they should have given the title to Zelina Vega, and she should have taken that title and put it down by her father's grave. And that's a very sweet, sentimental, because I don't want to take the piss of that situation. And Mark Henry got really emotional. Oh man, yeah, I hadn't thought of that. Oh man, they really missed the trick. I personally disagree. I don't think that's a good idea. But what do you think of that?
No, personally, isn't it already enough we're giving people title shots because they're just in their home country? Right. It's enough. Like some people will say she don't deserve it. Like LWO were formed for this pay-per-view.
Yeah.
LWO did not win one match since they've been formed. One. They haven't won one match. She became number one contender because she asked to be. And that's it. She's had her moment, and I was even very happy for Zelina because obviously the whole thing of her kind of losing her job unjustly over all the Twitch stuff and coming back, and like Skan rightly mentioned the 9/11 situation. Listen, this was her moment. This was her WrestleMania moment. Like in Backlash, like she had it. She didn't need to win the championship. I heard people saying on Twitter as well. I've seen people saying that, they should have called the audible, give her the title. And then tomorrow we're all going to complain that you've ruined Rhea Ripley, that you made the number one draft pick for a reason. You didn't draft her with Judgment Day. You made her the number one draft pick on Raw. And now we should just take the title off her a week later. Just for what? Emotion and vibes. Allow it, man. Like, they done, like, she got a position in it, like, by hook or by crook. And Rhea Ripley done well. Like, she sold for her well. And let her kind of seem like, she's got something in it, get the crowd a bit gassed. And then Rhea Ripley said, bun this, headbutt, riptide, done. Like, yeah, like it was booked how it should have been booked. They done a good job, but that's where it should have ended.
I agree. Yeah. And big up to Zelina Vega. That's what I'll say. Big her up. And by the way, LWO was a shit faction of WCW. Anyway, keep it moving.
Bro, you say that, but they all got matching tattoos as well, isn't it? So they've all got LWO tattooed on them now. All the members.
What? Escobar and them man there?
Yeah, all of them.
Yeah.
Frank La Parka and them man there never did that shit. It's like, this is... You know what it is, yeah? You know what it is? For me, I'm a bit annoyed. Like, don't get me wrong. It's like, when I first saw Ray with the shirts, I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. I kind of popped because, it brought back some nostalgia. It's like, but I hated LWO. I loved Eddie. Eddie was always my guy. I loved La Parka. And, there were some Mexican legends in there, like King Silver and that. But I just felt like it was just a shit idea because NWO was so hot. They didn't know what to do. They did the black and white. They did the red and black with Wolfpack. Even that was shit. I'm gonna keep it real. People have this revisionist history like that was great. That was shit.
Wolfpack were cool.
To me, it was shit. The only good thing about Wolfpack was Conan, because Conan started talking more. So because Conan started talking more on the mic, he showed his personality more. And I was like, okay, Conan is actually quite good. That was the only good thing. But if you looked at the faction of Wolfpack, Conan, Lex Luger, Kevin Nash, Sting, dead shit. Yeah. And then like people are going like, oh, the red and blacks thing was. It wasn't. It was shit. And then LWO was annoying. And then now they're bringing it back, and I get it. It's it's a bit of a. They're definitely booked better than how they were booked in WCW. I'll give them that. But
what are they?
That's how bad LWO was.
Bro.
Well, to be fair, there wasn't jobbers, but I don't know. I just think
they haven't won a match.
Yeah, I think Eddie was the best thing about it, but even then, it was just like it just didn't work for me. But some people disagree. I don't know, especially the Latino community might be like, no. Let's keep it moving. Let's talk about Austin Theory versus Bobby Lashley and Bronson Reed for United States Championship. Tay, did you see this going the way it went and Austin Theory retaining?
No, actually, I probably thought that Bobby Lashley might have picked this one up because I feel like it's Bobby Lashley's time again to give him back a belt. But it was a good match, regardless of who won. I kind of want to see where they're going with Austin Theory because I do believe in that guy. I'm not going to lie. I think he can go places. So I kind of want to see what they're going to do with him on SmackDown with that belt. And it probably helps that you've got Grayson Waller coming up. I can't remember the other guy, but Grayson Waller is the one that I look at from
Cameron
NXT.
Grimes.
Cameron Grimes. He's all right. But Grayson Waller, I think, is another one that's quite similar to Austin Theory in terms of their level. So I kind of like to see them go back and forth with the title. But I feel like we need to give Bobby something.
Skan, I actually agree with you, Tay. Skan, Lashley, what's going on with him? What are they doing?
Man, they dropped the ball with Lashley, man. He should have his own faction. He should be tearing it up, like really going head to head. Because they've not really done Lashley v Roman yet. I'm still waiting.
But Lashley's on SmackDown now, though, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's something that he's going to get.
That's SummerSlam. That's probably
we need that, man.
If it's not McGregor or Bad Bunny, it probably will be Lashley.
Yeah, because I mean he's near the end of his career, man. But I still think he's a bona fide main eventer that needs to be cemented, like Hall of Fame worthy levels. They need to cement him up there, man. So I want to see him in a headlining. I disagree with Tay in a sense where I think he's above the US title now, man. He needs to be like main event title, heavyweight titles only, man. That's where I see Lashley right now.
Max, there was a tweet on Twitter about all the competitors that are challenging for this new world heavyweight title that's going to be presented on the Raw brand. Obviously, that's the Raw brand, and Roman Reigns reigns supreme on SmackDown with the Universal title, WWE title. But the what was brought up in that debate was how many people of the age of 40 plus challenged for that title. So like Skan just mentioned, Bobby Lashley's in his 40s and he probably will retire soon. Should they do this thing where a lot of the wrestlers who are 40 and over should face Reigns for that title, but end up being a retirement match where Reigns just retires a bunch of wrestlers as well?
Nah, I don't think Reigns should be doing like some legend killer gimmick.
Get rid of these old fogies.
But I think this debate around age.
I agree.
Like
I agree. It's
a
nonsense.
bit silly because it's like as more experience you get, the better you get, and then you grow into these positions. There's anomalies of people that have held world titles at very young ages. Brock Lesnar, The Rock, Randy Orton. MJF.
That was not always a thing.
Yeah, like this is the thing. Like even AEW started a new company the other day. Chris Jericho was world champion first.
And that was the right decision.
Yeah, Moxley. This is someone that's been in WWE for 10 years. He's been around the block. Like you give it to the guys that are ready to literally carry the company. Like you can't just drop it on a 20 whatever year old. Like it doesn't necessarily make sense. Reigns, they wanted him to be the guy for how long? It's only in the last 2 years. I think Roman Reigns is maybe about 37. It's only in the last 2 years he's really become this guy. Oh, look, that's over 35. Like, we can't be trying to thrust these young people into positions. And then when they bollocks it up, we're here saying, this isn't a good world champion. Change it. Like, leave it for these guys that have worked themselves into these positions. experience to do these particular.
By the way, Vinicius Jr. has scored a banger. That's what everybody's saying in the group chat. And my flatmate is screaming his head off. I'll be there soon, buddy. I hope Real Madrid whoops City's ass because I've got money on it. Because I think people get gassed about Man City team. I'm sorry, this is a really bad segue. But people get gassed on City too much, and I just don't think they're there yet when it comes to Champions League football. Anyway, let's keep going.
We'll see.
Yes, I agree. I agree with everything all three of you have said. Let's quickly have a one-word opinion on Bronson Reed. I like him, but I want a one-word opinion from you first, Skan. Bronson Reed. Potential.
You're mute, Skan.
You're muted, but I think I read your lips, and I think you said potential.
Potential.
Hey. She's doing the West Indian.
I'm trying to think of the right word and I can't. It's similar to Scans, but it's not.
Max, you remember when you wrestled Okada? You saw that. What do you think? I know you saw that too, Skan. I know you went to New Japan as well.
I'm gonna say cooking.
Okay, cooking. Okay. I think I'm gonna lean with. I mean, I guess cooking and potential is kind of similar. I'm gonna leave. Yeah, potential. I think he does have potential. I just think they need to be careful how they book him. They need to.
He's another one that needs some big wins before they eventually feed him to whoever.
Yeah, that's right.
Him versus Gunther now on Raw should be flames.
There you go.
But they need to rebuild him after this loss and taking the pin.
Now that's cooking. You understand? Yeah. You understand? So, all right. Let's talk about Matt Riddle, Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. Sorry, Matt Riddle, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn versus the Usos and Solo Sikoa. Tay, how are you finding this storyline building? Are you enjoying it? They're adding more stuff, more ingredients to the pot. How are you finding this?
No, I do like the storyline. I like that they're teasing a bit with Solo Sikoa. I like that part. Matt Riddle, I mean, it's great to see him back. Whether it should be with them, I don't know. I kind of wanted to see him do his own thing, but he'd probably kind of break off from Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn soon.
But storyline wise, though, it's a good move. Wasn't they the ones who took him out?
Yeah. Solo took out.
So, yeah, and then you're right. I think he'll just be in this for a little bit, and then
he'll peel off. Yeah, but I mean, I'm here for the bloodline, so I want to see where it goes.
Max, Roman Reigns not being on TV since the Raw after Mania, and having this build up be done in through Heyman and the Usos and Sikoa, it helps, right? It adds a bit more excitement, especially for Reigns when Reigns eventually does return, because you could see another Heart Foundation segment where it will break down in the ring.
For me, it adds intrigue for Reigns' return. Like this week, he's coming back to SmackDown, and obviously they've been telling the story of Usos had the opportunity at the tag titles again, the rematch which they lost, and since then they haven't been able to fix the problem of the Owens and Zayn and Riddle and all that kind of stuff, and Solo had to basically step in to get the job done at the pay-per-view. So it's going to be interesting when Reigns returns, but I feel like the Bloodline story has suffered because of his absence. These man at times in before WrestleMania they've managed to carry it without him being there, but I think this has really felt like it's just dragging on now. Obviously the draft thing as well probably contributes to that. Now it looks like obviously the Usos Bloodline are all going to be on SmackDown. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are going to be on Raw, so it ends the involvement of Owens and Zayn in this story, I'd like to think. And now we need to address the next chapter in this story, which is what's happening within the actual bloodline. Is Solo more aligned with Roman? How Roman's going to treat the Usos for losing? What Solo thinks of the Usos, because there seems to be a bit of tension there between him and Jay. They need to just get straight to that on SmackDown on Friday, because the story is beginning to dwindle and people are beginning to think like they maybe should have ended this. And to be honest, this might be a bit of a tangent. It makes me feel like Cody was supposed to win this title at WrestleMania, along with them inventing this new title that they're bringing in. It just makes me think that surely this was meant to be done by now, but we'll see with Roman returning this week.
Skan, what did you think of that ending with the tease between Jay and Solo having a little tiff? Jimmy was kind of smiling as things was happening, but the little weird tiff between Solo and Jay happening.
Yeah, I think if we're truly gonna stick to the narrative of this story, it has to end with Jay and Roman. So I think they're kind of like weaving it back. You know, the problem is this story's gone on for so long now, but it has to end correctly. So I think we've kind of like seen Sammy and KO dip out of the story now, and we're trying to hopefully they're gonna end it correctly. And if they got Heyman and all of them guys in the writing room, you know, it should go out with a banger, man.
Let's talk about. So there was a double main event at Backlash 2023. Let's talk about what should have been the main event. Bad Bunny versus Damian Priest in San Juan, Puerto Rico. Bad Bunny and Damian Priest tagged previously. We've had a storyline where these two have had a long friendship going back, and you know, Bad Bunny was Damian Priest was the one that brought through Bad Bunny. I'm assuming to WWE. Am I right about that? In storyline wise, yeah. And now you know they are opposite ends. You know, Bad Bunny stood up for. He stood up for not being disrespected by Dominic Mysterio, and Damian Priest didn't want to hurt Bad Bunny, but he ended up hurting him on Raw, and then this feud kind of spilled over, and Bad Bunny's been helping out Ray, and so we get to this main event match between these two, which is a hardcore street fight, San Juan street fight. Before this match started, we saw a cameo from the Latino legend Savio Vega, the Caribbean strap match legend, all the way from Carlos Colon's promotion, which was, I believe, CWW. I can't remember what the promotion used to be called. I never really watched it, but you know, here's the funny thing about Caribbean wrestling and even how it ties into Antiguans and Trinidadians. So my dad, who would swear to you he never watched wrestling, yeah, me growing up, he would always cuss me for watching wrestling. Right, you know wrestling fake. You watching this fake shit. He used to say this to me all the fucking time, yeah, as a child. He used to terrorize me watching wrestling. I'm not even joking, yeah. I find out in my 20s that he saw Ric Flair live in 1974 or 5 in Trinidad and Tobago. In the same bill was Carlos Colon. On the same bill was a young TNT Savio Vega. No, Savio Vega wouldn't have been there because that's 70s. So it would have been, I think, a guy called Chiqui Star, who ended up being El Salvador, who was also in part of Carlos Colon's promotion. Was a bit controversial figure. And Abdullah the Butcher, of course, Abdullah the Butcher as well. So I just find it funny that my dad was cussing me out. But because of my dad, he used to teach me a lot about TNT, which was Savio Vega. So even before Savio Vega became Savio Vega in WWE, he was TNT in Puerto Rico. And I guess we Trin is related to him because of the initials, TNT. So it was good to see Savio Vega getting his flowers. And big up to Kenny McIntosh, because Kenny McIntosh gave himself, he admitted that he was a bit wrong. I know it's all banter and it's all jokes, but back in the day, he did this review on, I think he had this Inside the Ropes, and he made a little gag about how remember that time they did No Way Out? Was it No Way Out, Mex, when DX needed a replacement for Shawn Michaels? Was that No Way Out? There was a pay-per-view before WrestleMania, which I think it might have been No Way Out, and it was a street fight, and it was LOD and a few others against DX and whatnot. And Shawn Michaels was supposed to be in that main event. This is the month before the main event with Stone Cold. But Shawn Michaels pulled out because of an injury. And obviously they wanted to save him for WrestleMania. So in replace of Shawn Michaels was Savio Vega. And Kenny McIntosh went on his podcast, this is years ago, and was saying, oh, this is one of the worst decisions WWE ever made. Like, you put in a nobody like Savio Vega and nobody cheered, nobody got it. But then he was like, saw for himself how much of a star Savio Vega really is. And I just feel like all of us as wrestling podcasters and whatnot needs to kind of come out of our bubbles a bit and understand that wrestling is bigger than WWE. It's bigger. It's a whole worldwide phenomenon. And just because you might not see how much this guy's important is to a company, you will see it in a later date. And that's why I used to always defend people like Coco Beware. When people be like, why is he a Hall of Famer? You need to check the history of these wrestlers and their legacy before Vince McMahon mashes them up with a total gimmick. Anyway, that was a rant, but I just want to say it was good to see Savio get his flowers, and he got a really good pop. Let's lead on to the match with Bad Bunny and Damian Priest. Mex, I'm going to come with you first. What did you think of this match? And did you think it was kind of similar to Sting and Triple H at WrestleMania 31?
That's a good comparison, to be fair. But I wouldn't say similar. This match, that match, the one you said, Sting and Triple H, was overbooked. Nostalgia trips, like with all the people involved and all that kind of stuff, and WWE having to get one over a WCW icon. This was just sports entertainment at its finest. Like we knew that, you know, probably Bad Bunny would win for the big pop and everything like that. Even, you know, the entrances was being talked about so much now, and yeah, the guy is a true wrestling fan. Like, we've seen the likes of Pat McAfee's and Logan Paul's in recent time. All of these men have done good stuff in wrestling, not the usual kind of celebrity appearances. But you can see being an actual wrestling fan hits different, because Bad Bunny was telling a story in that ring, which I didn't think, you know, I didn't think I was going to get. Like, yeah, he was very good. Took a beating from Damian Priest. Priest should get his flowers as well. Really sold for him, really obviously controlled what's happening in that ring. Then you got the inclusion of the Judgment Day, the inclusion of LWO, the return to a massive pop of Carlito in Cologne country. So obviously we're gonna love that. Savio Vega came out. So they done all of that thing, then came back to the match. We still had another 5 minutes. And yeah, this Canadian destroyer that Bunny loves hitting when he shows up in the WWE, hit that for the win. Should have been the main event. Definitely should have been the main event, because that place was electric. And yeah, it just shows you that even with celebrities, like this nonsense thing that we all enjoy, like it just brings so much joy out of you, like if done correctly.
100%.
So yeah, they really give a really good account of themselves with booking that match.
Skan, how do you feel about celebrities being thrown into a wrestling match and straight away kind of being booked like they can fight? Like, I'm a bit conflicted about it, maybe because I grew up in an era when they used to do celebrity wrestling, they kind of made it realistic where not every man was a fighter. Like, some people were like be in a ring, like Mr. T, for instance. Like, even though he had a boxing match with Roddy Piper at WrestleMania 1, he didn't really do much offense. If anything, he got beat down a lot. And that was kind of their way of kind of protecting the business. I know it's all entertainment. Everybody knows it's not real and it's different now. But I would still kind of like some sort, like with Mayweather, it kind of made sense because Mayweather's a boxer. Yeah, he was fighting the Big Show, so that doesn't really make sense. But he's a boxer, so you already have an idea that he can fight. I guess Logan Paul does boxing too-ish, not like his brother, but he has done some boxing matches before, I guess. So it kind of makes sense that he can kind of go in there and do a thing. But Bad Bunny
he was an amateur wrestler.
And he was an amateur wrestler too. That's true, yeah. Bad Bunny is a rapper. You know, there's like, there was never a thing where he's like, okay, he might have been raised in the mean streets of San Juan or whatever, but there's never been a thing where he's like, you know, he can fight, man. You know what I mean? Especially in wrestling in the ring. But from the jump, from Royal Rumble and all that, when he debuted, he just battled up, man. And I guess we're just looking at it like, oh, this is like Shane McMahon. We're just accepting it. How do you feel about all this?
You know what? And a lot of people made those comparisons to those early Shane McMahon matches where he just seemed like, you know, you can tell this isn't a trained wrestler, you know?
Yeah.
We live in an era where you got people like Snoop Dogg dropping the people's elbows.
Yeah.
You know, I think in a way we're at a time where these guys, these celebrities are kind of living out our personal fantasies. Like, man, what would it be if I was suddenly thrown in a WWE match? You know, obviously I ain't going to be pulling off a head scissors and all of that, but, you know, I'll fight. But I mean, one of the subtle things that I liked in the build-up is they got Damian Priest to throw them subtle jabs like, look, you know what I mean? I'm not going to jump on stage at Coachella and try and out-rap Bad Bunny because that's not my world. So why are you trying to come into my wrestling ring? I'll destroy you, you know? And they tried to keep it as authentic to that as possible, you know, where literally for the majority of the match, Damian Priest was just was battering him. Let's be honest, you know.
And I agree, and I agree with all of that. The only problem I have is that he did a Falcon Arrow off some sort of staging and landed on like that should have killed Bad. I'm sorry. That's the only. I think that's when I was a bit like, okay, guys.
Yeah,
It's stuff like that. I'm a bit annoyed with.
A little bit, you know.
Yeah.
And I guess us as smart wrestling fans will know, you know, that match was probably produced within an inch of his life and rehearsed time and time again.
100%.
So it's like, but when you know that, then you know a match like that could never fail, really, you know. But yeah, I think overall, man, he done well. You know, he needs his props, man. Man did Coachella, Met Gala, then you know Backlash, main event. You know, and he was flawless. You know, I don't think he botched a single spot. Except that probably sliced bread where he landed on his head. But other than that, you know, I thought I got to take my hat.
Right. Yeah.
But I don't even mind him landing a slice of bread on his head because he's not a wrestler.
Exactly. And it makes it a bit more cool. Like it's like
as long as he's all right, of course. But
Tay, one of the most talked about moments in this match was the return of Carlito. What did you think when you saw that? Did you pop? And do you have any good memories of Carlito? Are you a Carlito fan? Where we were with Carlito?
I think I saw Carlito kind of when I was going out of wrestling. So he was just coming up. Obviously, had the apple and all sorts. I did kind of pop though because I thought it was nice that they were bringing a match like that there, and they were making the most of it. They're trying to make like, right, we've got all these wrestlers here. Let's bring this crowd, get this crowd as high as we can. Bring everyone in and just see what it does. And it blew the roof off. And that's what you should have when you're going to go to another country and put on a pay-per-view. That's what you want to do, because now you're going to show up when you go back to America and see all these dead crowds just doing a little, yeah. No, look at Puerto Rico and look what they did and act accordingly.
Well, Mex, I think, Mex, did you not mention something on your Twitter about how Triple H is doing this genius idea of bringing these wrestling stadium shows to across the world, across the country, and having different vibes. You know, there was supposed to be something happening in India. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this could be a really good move for the future WWE. Do you agree?
So this was Nick Khan's initiative to have more when he said this whole PLE thing, and then have it like more stadium shows. I remember Nick Khan saying that, and it seems like obviously Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, you know, it looks like the big ones. They've always said this is probably going to be in America, right? But if we can garner interest for these B-level pay-per-views, making them in all these other different places around the world, even, you know, we're here getting Money in the Bank in a couple of months in London, it's almost we're given something that these guys, aka the US crowd, maybe don't care about so much, but we're going to a new territory or different territory to kind of deliver this, and they're going to be gassed because they don't see us often.
100%. Clever idea.
You looks like it's bloody WrestleMania, like
yeah.
You know, in terms of reactions and people being invested. Like as they started the show, I was just gonna watch Backlash. You know, I was literally with my son playing. When I saw the first 5 minutes, I think the reaction of EO Sky and everything, I left their man in the living room and I went to
But it's facts, bro.
Today, I need to watch.
Facts.
Something is happening, like, because the crowd were just on the next level. Like, this wasn't like, oh, I'm just watching a PLE regular Backlash or whatever.
So you have to, no. And here's the thing, because I was sick this weekend, I was mash up, so I totally forgot. Like, I forgot it was on, but Backlash wasn't in the forefront of my mind at all. And and I was so mashed up that I even fell asleep. I fell asleep early. And my missus was sleeping next to me, and she was sleeping, and I must have woke up like, it must have been maybe like 1:45 or something, and I was like, shit, Backlash. So I went on my MacBook quietly, and then I started watching it first, and then I was like, I saw the reaction to Bianca. I was like, oh shit, I need to watch this properly, and I went to the front room and just watched Backlash, and I was just like, this is a fucking sick show, like, and you're absolutely right. I think the fact that you can have a show like feeling like WrestleMania for 12 pay-per-views a year, it's just like, that would garner so much interest from people who don't watch wrestling. They might like watch it here and there, or like casual fans, or know of it. But now you're thinking, oh, this is shit lit 24/7.
Like, think about May. Yeah, end of this month, Saudi Arabia, Night of Champions.
Yeah.
Then we've got Money in the Bank in July in London. SummerSlam they're gonna do in Detroit, I think it is. So we'll see where the rest of the year end up in terms of locality wise. But yeah, America, it's like you guys were ungrateful for what you were getting, so we're giving it to the rest of the world now, innit?
So when they did Vengeance in Accra, Ghana, yeah, right? who what legends will come out that will get the crowd go crazy like they did with Carlito and Savio? It's Kamala!
Just bring up Kofi Kingston, isn't
it?
Kofi! But just to follow on from Mex quickly, man, I think the genius business move is that WWE is getting the local tourism board to pay them to come. And They did like Clash of the Castle, and I think Puerto Rico paid them like over £1 million, like just to do the event.
So it's a smart business, man.
I think I saw that the other day. In fact, that Cardiff, they published the numbers. I think they earned like 1.8 million that weekend in Cardiff, just as a city, because of WWE come to town.
Yeah. And I think you also said that the Saudi shows probably make like 4 or 5 times more than Mania.
Yeah.
I can imagine
I think that clears like 10 times more than Mania.
Yeah.
That probably just pays for Mania. Like we're going to make this show. So
all of Cody's pyro and Roman's pyro.
Exactly.
The first half an hour of the Saudi show pays for WrestleMania. The first half an hour.
Probably does.
Let's talk about the main event now. Brock Lesnar versus Cody Rhodes. This was kind of like a blood match. Brock Lesnar betrayed Cody when he promised to be a tag team partner on the night after WrestleMania against Solo and Roman Reigns. Brock Lesnar battered Cody to a pulp, and then there was back and forth, rivalry talk between the two, and then Cody got a cheap shot in, and so now we got this match. Let me go with Mex. Actually, let me go with Skan. Skan, did this match deliver to you? And did it kind of remind you of the Cena-Lesnar match when Lesnar first came back in 2012 as well?
It kind of did, man, because that was brutal, that match, But let me just do one quick side caveat, man. One thing I will always rate for guys like Lesnar and Goldberg, they will turn up, right, and get paid over £1 million for like a 10-minute match. And it's just their hustle game is strong, bro. Right? It's crazy.
It's different.
And that's why my man probably didn't feel no way of walking right into that metal ring and busting his head open the hard way, because he probably thought, boy, he probably got $1 million per stitch. But I mean, as a Lesnar is even at the age he is now, I don't know, where's he in his mid to late 40s? Like he is still like legitimately probably the most dangerous man in a company. Like every match he has, you get that uneasy feeling like someone's gonna get broke up. Like but you're always engaged, no matter how short the match is, man. And I thought like he did the job.
Tay, what did you think of this back and forth between Cody and Lesnar? Now, are you happy with the finish? Are you happy with how everything went?
I mean, it was a Brock Lesnar match, wasn't it? It was what it was. I like that Cody came out like I'm scared. That was his promo. I'm scared, but I'm still going to do it. I'm still going to fight, etc., etc. And I like that he came out on smoke. He was like, right, I'm going for it. Like little man, I'm going to beat the beast. I'm going to beat him down. And yeah, I love that. It was brutal. I loved it. And I love the blood. I'm not going to lie. I haven't seen one of those matches for a while where it was just like proper real, not razor blade, just bam, done. Bang. I was like, yep, this is a match. I like it.
Max, what did you think of this? This battle?
Yeah, like Tay, I feel like after the Bad Bunny match, the pay-per-view began to tail off and was just like, now we got this 6th man, and now we've got Cody versus Brock, and none of them were as captivating as that Bad Bunny Damian Priest match. And yeah, I was kind of like sinking lower and lower into the bed and on my phone and just watching it and stuff. And then Brock Lesnar bust his head and I sat up again. And it just became a lot more interesting the minute blood was on the show. Yeah, and sure. Yeah, my one issue with this is that Brock Lesnar recently has had too many of these fluke losses or wins where it's like not decisive. I'm putting someone down with an F5 and pinning them, or someone's doing their finishing move to me decisively and pinning me. Like, it seems like through his match with Cody, his match with Lashley, his series with Lashley, it's kind of like just escape the beast, as opposed to I'm definitively gonna beat this guy. And I'm not sure how much it's really doing for people. Like, if we think as fans, you know, oh my god, this person beat Brock Lesnar. Well, you kind of escaped him. You didn't really, you know, definitively beat him. So I don't think any less of you, but I don't necessarily think any more of you. So I don't know if this is just being used to put Brock Lesnar on the card to sell tickets or whatever the case is. I know it, you know, they're trying to still protect Brock Lesnar as well as put people over using his name. But I just feel like the finishes are a bit funny.
Well, it depends. It depends on where they're going with the story. So I hear what you're saying, but because we know, because what happened on Raw, that this feud is continuing,
yeah,
they're gonna have another match, and maybe on the second match, it's where Cody defeats Lesnar definitively, where it's not an escape. Because I honestly believe, in order to really push Cody to maintain him to be that star that he already became. Obviously, he didn't lose the reign, so that star power is still in a little bit. But to keep him back up there, and I think where they're going with this as well is going to be Reigns versus Cody Part 2 WrestleMania next year. I don't know if Rock is going to make it. If The Rock is not going to be at WrestleMania 40, I definitely think it's going to be Cody versus Reigns Part 2, and I think that's when Cody gets the big win. So I think in order to do this, you have another match with Lesnar, and he beats Lesnar again, but this time he beats him without escaping him. He actually beats him. And then from there, you can just really spiral with Cody, with all the bookers, maybe even win Money in the Bank. Maybe, you know what I mean? It's just, you could just do so much with him going through after that. But I could be wrong. You could be right. Lesnar might just batter him in the next match, and that's it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like Lesnar kind of keeping that kind of staying at the top is more of a business thing. Because if anything happens to anyone else, Brock Lesnar slots in everywhere at the top.
Smash glass in case of emergency.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what he is. I think, and what's really clever is they're keeping him a free agent as well. So he can go from SmackDown, Raw. He's a special. Yeah. That's great. That's great booking. So I personally like the escape. I kind of felt that's where they were going to go with it anyway. It doesn't make sense for Cody to be beating Brock Lesnar. But I think that if he gets used to fighting him, there might be a way he can figure out to actually beat him. So I think you never know. We've got to see how the storyline plays out.
I think this could have been fine. Like I'm not super mad at it. Like I said, I'm not even looking at it in context of their feud. I'm looking at it in context of just Brock Lesnar matches over the past 6 months or so. But I think this could have been fine if the placement of this match, if this was maybe the first match, even though the opener we had was brilliant. If this was the first match or somewhere in the middle and Bad Bunny's match ended like the show, this could have been probably fine. But because this is how you ended this show, it's just a bit like...
No, I agree. And it would have been great to have that Bad Bunny match main event, because it would have reminded me of that time when Austin came back at Backlash and the crowd went crazy against The Rock Triple H. It's like, I don't know, I mean, can't compare the two, but it's just that reaction was kind of...
Yeah, the crazy reaction.
Okay, so what are we giving Backlash 2023 out of 5? I'm going to go around, start off with you, Tay. 2023 Backlash out of 5.
I'll give it a 4. Solid 4.
Skan.
I'm going to go with a solid 4.5.
Max.
4.
And I also agree with 4. I'm going to go with 4 as well. So it was a very good pay-per-view. And more power to WWE. Hopefully more of this.
They said this is the most watched Backlash of all time.
Yeah, I mean,
I can imagine that.
Probably because of that, but
they had the whole of Puerto Rico watching that.
But the big question, Skillet, where was Epico and Primo?
You know what's mad, yeah? Did you know that Carlito got signed to WWE? Yeah, because when he was wrestling for his dad's promotion, he was a big star, like, you know, because his dad was a big star, and obviously that's the family legacy. It's like the Von Erichs, isn't it? Like every family member is a big star. Did you know that Carlito had a feud with his brother, who became Epico, I believe? Became Primo. Primo was the brother. Epico was the cousin. Carlito and Primo had a feud, right? Very similar to this feud that's going on with Ray and Dom. Yeah, it was like a family fallout. All the family was involved. Carlito was all stressed. Oh, my boy, all that shit, right? And that was one of the hottest feud that, because obviously because of what happened with Bruiser Brody in the late 80s, like there were still American territories that were still messing with, with that promotion, but a lot of people didn't really want to work with them, so they didn't really have hot business for a long time. But that was one of their hottest business in a long time, and Vince signed him that year. Vince was like, "Yeah, come SmackDown. We're gonna make you a big star." That's why he beat Cena in the first day. But yeah, it would have been great to have Primo and Epico. But I feel, let's be real, Carlito is the star out of those brothers and that cousin. So I think Carlito was the perfect fit, to be honest. He was the star. But yeah, that would have been nice though. Let's quickly talk about Raw quickly, and then we will sign off. Let's quickly, noteworthy, obviously, Seth Rollins was in a triple threat match with Finn Balor and who else, Max?
Finn Balor, Miz, and Cody.
Oh, it was Finn Balor, Miz, and Cody. That's right. And it was Seth Rollins,
Damian
Nakamura,
and
Damian Priest. And then obviously Seth won, Finn won, and then Seth and Finn had that match, which was quite funny because they had that match for that Universal title in the first game, and they did references to that. And Seth advanced to the final that's going to happen in Night of Champions, right?
Yeah.
But we don't know. So I'm assuming next week on Raw they're going to do another 3 triple threat matches, 3 other
SmackDown this on Friday, so they're going to do exactly for a Raw title. Anyway, yeah, they're going to have 2 triple threats and the finals, and then at Night of Champions, the SmackDown winner will face Seth Rollins, which, for most people, it's telegraphed now that Rollins is going to win the world title. Obviously, there's still the likelihood that whoever wins on SmackDown can just transfer over to Raw. That can happen, but it just kind of makes, rubbishes the whole fact you just done
it's silly. It's just silly. Why do they keep doing this shit, man? Just make it make sense.
Yeah.
What is that? So wait. So are they going to have a Night of Champions, Seth versus Roman?
No. So Roman's
no,
not.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like Seth versus Roman. Is that what we're going to see?
They say that
Ray's gonna.
I feel like that's what we're going to see. Is that not? I don't know. That's what But then that way, like Seth gets his win against.
Nah, I don't think we're getting that. I think it's going to be Seth versus either AJ Styles or Edge. I think that's who's going to win it on the SmackDown side. But we'll see.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm bored.
The Way reunited. People happy about this? The Way has reunited on Raw.
Apparently, Triple H has big plans for them.
Yeah, I can see that. Anything else noteworthy? I guess Becky Lynch returned. Attacked Trish Stratus after Trish Stratus did the whole